I'm sitting in my locker room, right? Sitting in my locker. I got ice on my knee, ice on both my ankles, and I'm just sitting there like this.
I will never give the NBA $1 again.
I always say, I said, now they know how that shit feel to be Rasheed Wallace, huh?
Just look at this turnaround to check some brains. It's so good. It's too good.
Man, I can't stop a leaky faucet with a wrench right now. Welcome to Rasheed Wallace world.
The date is February 10th, 1996. What in the world happened at the beginning of February in 1996 that would be worthy of me asking you about? Let me give you a little hint. What usually occurs in February during the NBA season?
Yeah, the All-Star game.
Okay. But do you remember what you did in 1996? What game you played in?
Oh, it was what? The rookie game?
Yes, the rookie game from All-Star Weekend. This is the Alamo Dome game in San Antonio, which is regarded to be the best All-Star Weekend of all time. You go off in the rookie game. You also have a game winner, if I'm not mistaken. And I know you have some certain thoughts about All-Star Weekend, but for the time being, like, this was your first All-Star experience. What's it like being out there with some of these names and seeing these guys? Is that Antonio McDyess again? He keeps popping up, but I don't know if that is. Couldn't tell, but there's your boy Damon Stoudemire.
You know, it's a lot of great guys that's playing out there. You know, myself, Kevin Garnett, Joe Smith,
that was
Antonio McDyess, Jerry Stackhouse, Damon Stoudemire, my guy Mike Finley, as you see right there, young Barry. You know,
Brent Barry.
It was we had a lot of good talent right there. You know, I love that right there. It was definitely a fun weekend. I would probably say, you know, I'm not one for All-Star games or whatever, because I feel as though during this time in the NBA, you know, and I was lucky enough in my career to be able to go to, like, you know, May or June. So this time I always thought, like, okay, if I did have to go, then take the kids would like it. But for me, I would rather take that, you know, 5 days off where, you know, I had a chance to rehab my body and make for that final push. As I've mentioned plenty times before, with veterans do later on in the NBA. But that was the winning bucket right there.
So,
but what it was is, you know, it was fun that whole weekend. That was my first one. But after that, you know, we know it's all just the shit.
You're lucky that didn't count it. They almost stole your moment right there. Who was that? Michael Finley?
No, that was Joe Smith.
Oh, that was Joe Smith that hit that? I heard Joe Smith on the Warriors. Oh my God.
He was the number one pick in my draft.
I know. I just.
Draft, yeah.
God, that's such a long time ago. And you're like, no, that didn't count. Bring it in. Like, see, you loved exhibition games.
It was a money shot.
Oh, that's so close. Is that you? That was you contesting it too.
Yes, it was.
Oh, well, I'll credit you for the reason as to why he was late.
And then point that money shot right here.
Over KG on the help too. So I think you're about to give an interview here. Yeah, like this looks like a man that's enjoying All-Star Weekend. I know you don't now, but I'm going to have you tell the story closer when we get to. That's the face of a man that's having a pretty good time, as far as I'm concerned. You're on the map right now. This is before Ball Don't Lie. This is before the Trailblazers days. Rasheed Wallace, game winner and the game-winning contest. Just saying.
Yes,
Moment
sir.
in time. Moment in time. We'll fast forward to current day, where over the weekend, I don't know how you've missed it at this point, especially if you're watching the show, but there was a game played between the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers that had a little bit of news. It's going to be, I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's going to be a pretty big chunk of this program for different reasons. The first of which is maybe not what you expect, because the story is about LeBron, the foul call, the Lakers' volatility and closing out games they could have won in overtime regardless. We're going to get to all of that. But this show is unique in a certain way, is that the other person that's not currently talking at this very second is who I would consider to be the Guinness World Record holder the gold medal podium, the top of Mount Rushmore of human beings on this planet that could give their opinion and have the most worth in regards to the funniest technical fouls ever assessed in the game's history. You've been on the receiving end of a couple of them, and we've gone through them on this show, whether it's Ball Don't Lie, the stare down in Los Angeles. You know what it's like to get a technical foul, especially when it's an outlier situation. And we watch, what are your thoughts on Patrick Beverley with just a laugh out loud technical foul moment of all time?
And that's exactly what it is. You gotta laugh at that, and the ref should have laughed at that too, because that's original. I got to give my man Pat Bev. He gets a 10 from me. That's originality right there. You know what I'm saying? That's like when all of a sudden T.O. just out of nowhere pulled the marker out and started signing the footballs and everything. Like, damn, where the hell he pull his marker from? But that was like Pat Bev. Yo, that was classic. That was a classic move right there. He definitely gets a 10 in my book with that one. But yeah, I think on the flip side of it, we get it. It was okay, the heat of the moment, this or that. But the referee probably didn't think that it was a good joke or think that it was funny. In his mind, I guarantee you, he's thinking he's trying to show me up. That's the main thing that they all think. You can't even say nothing to him like, oh, man, hey, it's a nice day outside. Get away from me. No, I don't want to hear it. Like, damn, I'm just saying it's a nice day outside. That's what they're taught to think. Don't conversate with us at all, this or that, unless you're, one of the big stars where they got to listen to you then. But yeah, Pat Bev, that was funny as shit, though. That was hilarious, though. That's my guy. Okay. That was hilarious.
Okay, it's so funny because it wasn't planned in a head. It was a natural, and he was serious about it too. He wasn't being petty. He was actually serious. Like, look at this. Look, look. You got it wrong. That's a foul. And he does, the first thing he says is he shows him, and you can read his lips, and he goes, foul. Like there wasn't 10,000 other missed calls before that on both sides.
And when they get texts, and if I see it, no matter on Sports Center or watching film or something, I always say, "Oh, I said now they know how that shit feel to be Rasheed Wallace, huh?"
Now let's do a little transition to actual basketball here, because there was a bigger storyline. It was LeBron going to the rim, very clearly getting fouled. You've got the NBA official referee Twitter account the following day saying some of our members have had sleepless nights over this. The most demonstrative fan base thinks the NBA is out to get them right now. And that's a bigger league-wide issue as opposed to just itemized team to team. So the Lakers continue to hover in 13th place, losing games, close games that are winnable time and time again. What are you seeing from this game in Boston, Sheed, that all the Lakers need to do is win 3 in a row, and they could be in the 5 seed with how congested the Western Conference is? Why can't they get over the hump, and why is LeBron so frustrated more than ever?
Well, first, that was a classic game. That was a classic Lakers Celtics. Like, let's go ahead and say that. Not only with the antics that happened, but just the overall game itself. I think it's frustration, man. It's frustration because if you look at it, a majority of the time in the beginning of his career, those few games that's decided by 2, 3, or maybe even 4 points, he won a majority of them. No matter if he hit the shot, or it could have been when he was in Miami with D Wade or Chris Bosh, could have been when he was in Cleveland and he had the great cast that he did out there. So it's probably a little bit of frustration. And it's just each shot, it's like you want it to go in. And that's where, again, that frustration mounts, because it's like, shit, we missing shots, or this is not happening, that's not happening. And it's all compiled up. So then, boom, you're going to have a frustration. And yeah, it was a foul. It was welcome to Rasheed Wallace world. It was a foul, but, it's not like they going to sit up here and say they made a mistake. They definitely not going to do that out in public, because that's the thing that gets me. Here it is. Now, the NBA might, for the way that LeBron acted, the NBA might try to fine him for that, right? If they do, they do. They don't, they don't. But my whole thing, my key to what I'm saying is that ref, you ain't going to know what happened to him. You ain't gonna know if he got reprimanded. You ain't gonna know if he got fined. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna know anything that happened to them. But if it was us, oh, it's front page, it's the sports ticker and everything. So that's, I think, one of the things that has to happen is, just they gotta come down off that pedestal a little bit, where they think every call that they make is a right call. I'm standing ground and firm on it. Hey, dude, just admit it. You made a fucked up call. Hey, Brian, my bad. I fucked that up. You know what I'm saying? No more you can say about it. I think people and the players would accept that more than our referees have been having many sleepless nights. That ain't our fault. Them motherfuckers supposed to get rest just like we supposed to get rest. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, they out there running up and down there a couple miles. Well, make sure you eat breakfast and lunch and all that shit, because that's the same shit we got to do. So all that, the refs are tired. No, I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to hear that. That's wild.
Not to take the NBA side, but the way that they admit nowadays to we messed up is in the form of either a pool report or a last 2-minute report, in which they put the tweet out and they said, yeah, it was a foul and we missed it. And then by the time LeBron sees that in the locker room, he's going through all the different times this season that the Lakers have been on the wrong end of a last 2-minute report, in which they're like, oops, we messed up. And as a result, the Lakers had a situation in which they probably could have won the game, but they didn't. So that doesn't carry any equity with the players, that when you have to take responsibility for something that you did wrong so many times, it just stops meaning something. So what's the next step? And you started off your answer with the word frustration. So the Lakers are frustrated going to overtime, as they've been frustrated in the past. And there were 26 seconds left in overtime, right around, I think it was 25.1 or 26. The Lakers are only down by 5 at the time. So the game's not over yet. And as opposed to calling a timeout, the last timeout Darvin Ham had, and advancing the ball, it takes the Lakers 10 seconds to get it up into the front court, ultimately get up a three. It was either 26 or 16 seconds left. And Anthony Davis makes it. And then they're down 2, but the game is over because you took your dear sweet time and you kind of were conceded at that point. And then ultimately he calls his timeout to advance the ball when they're down by 4 and it doesn't matter anymore. So letting the frustration affect not only the Lakers, but LeBron, who has been through it all. He has seen everything, the highs and the lows, Sheed, that this can still happen at this point. You want to use the term frustration? It's that type of play combined with him having to go out there and play 40 minutes every single night in year 20, combined with maybe he wants moves to be made that are not being made. And it's all just boiling over way earlier than usual. And I don't even know if I have a question here, but it's more so just a follow-up to, have we reached the breaking point for LeBron? It doesn't seem possible, but those actions sure suggest it.
Yeah, I don't think so. They just, they just frustrated. It's like, okay, they didn't start the season off good. Then it's like, all right, now we winning a couple games, we rolling, we got a little win streak going. Boom, AD gets hurt. Like, oh shit. Then okay, we still rolling a little bit. Then this person or that guy gets hurt or banged up. So now it's like, fuck, we can't. It's like we can't buy a break. You know what I'm saying? So that right there in itself can get you frustrated when you know that you got to get on track, right? And you're trying everything that you can in your power as a member of that team, no matter if it's offensively or defensively. And it's like, especially think of it like this: if you're the team's best defender, right? But you keep getting scored on, for you're gonna be frustrated, like, damn, I can't stop a leaky faucet with a wrench right now. You know what I'm saying? But that's how it is with the same thing with the game. So it's like, it's coming down to the point where it's like, look, we need every game. Going into this All-Star break, that's what it's coming down to. We need to get all of these games, especially these tough games against maybe somebody they might, could possibly see in the finals if they make it that far, or even back in their own conference. We need these games against Dallas, these games against the Clippers, and games against all the other Denvers and the good teams that's out there in the West. We need these little games. So even the chip games where playing the teams that aren't so good. You know, the younger teams, the Orlandos or the Atlanta. Those are games you need as well right now. From what they're trying to do, they gotta get their head above water. You know, make that record above 500. That's what's going to get them just a little bit of breathing room, and then you got to take it from there. But it's just frustrating when you know you got to do it, you trying to do it, you thinking that you're doing everything right, everything to contribute to the team's win, and the shit's still falling short. Like, yeah, it's fucking frustrating.
I just haven't seen that I'm using my analysis of LeBron's body language, and I watch every press conference after just to see the tone of the way he's feeling. Because even in these victories, he looks burned out. He looks exhausted because of the work that he's had to put in. Now, granted, to his credit, it's got him in the MVP conversation. He's showing a level of brilliance at this stage in his career that might honestly be unprecedented, leading the league in certain categories. Like, none of this makes sense. And it's almost as if he doesn't want to do that. He's only doing it because he has to. And because he has to in the month of January, he's frustrated by it because he knows his body. He knows this can't go on forever. And while he's got Anthony Davis back, he's almost in you got to treat every night like a do or die situation. And it's too early to be doing that. So he needs.
Exactly. That's where that frustration comes in at. But it's I guess it's hard. It's between a rock and a hard place. That's the best way to say it. It's between a rock and a hard place. One, I feel them with like, look, if it's me, I got to be out there playing because we down, and like all these little games, they like little chip shots when you out there golfing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't hit that motherfucking ball 350 yards. You know what I'm saying? But hey, you still can get there. Boom, just go ahead and knock it halfway. Get them little chip shots in there, to get up there on that green. So that's what they got to do with these games. But if they're sitting out, then that just means, again, like I said before, now somebody else got to step up. So now what I'm looking at is, it's going to be a dynamic show in my book between Kyrie and Russ. You got two good premier point guards, and it's going to be between them two as far as the show and, the ratings and this and that. But, yeah, the guys still got to do it either way, night in, night out, no matter if Bron play, AD play, or Russ play. Night in, night out, the other guys still got to do it. The other guys still got to prove it and show it because, one, they're going to need them in the playoffs because you're going to need the bench. This ain't the NCAA tournament. I've never seen an NBA team win a championship and you don't have a bench. Like, so you got to have some type of bench, and this is where these guys got to step up. And, again, it's also installing confidence. So now if I go out here, I'm a young dude, I go out here and play good for all of these games that our stars are missing. One, it's going to look good for me when it comes contract time. Two, my coach know that he can depend on me, that I'm going to go out there and do my job, whatever the case may be, whatever he asked me to do. I'm going out there and doing that shit. So the young guys got to step up with it because you know what you're going to get out of your stars already. But you just need them to play. If they don't play, hey, it's that low management shit. That's that rule shit. That's the bullshit. But we need these games. So I'm torn with it either way.
So rock in a hard place with the Lakers. What's a rock in the hard place? The rock is the Lakers need help. LeBron clearly needs help, which isn't in the form of the current roster. But the hard place is the Lakers don't have any assets really left besides one move, which is attaching draft picks with Russell Westbrook to bring in a bigger contract. That's their last throw of the dice pretty much. So you can always do that, and you want to go out there and win this game, this big national television game against Boston. The whole world is watching. You've talked about Darvin Ham's trust. Darvin Ham has talked about his trust in Russell Westbrook. He doesn't play the entire fourth quarter, but he puts him back out there in overtime. And the reason for me bringing up rock in a hard place is Laker fans are seeing Russell Westbrook come in there. And while maybe not all of them are as supportive as you or Darvin Ham in regards to his role on this current team, or they just don't think he's as good as he thinks he is, or some other people thinks he is, who's sitting on that bench is a name, Max Christie. Max Christie is near 40% three-point catch and shoot guy who has given them some really solid defensive minutes against teams like the Spurs and the Rockets in these games that aren't really as high stakes. And to get assets to trade for what LeBron needs. This would have been, I'm playing Monday morning quarterback here, but this would have been the perfect time to put Max Christie in there. And then all of a sudden, he becomes the next Austin Reeves because he hits one big shot, like Reeves put himself on the map against Luka Doncic and the Mavericks last year. Max Christie goes out there and wins the game for you in Boston. All of a sudden, you have another asset to use in that trade that ultimately LeBron is going to need to win a title this season. But that didn't happen. Max Christie was a DNP, coach's decision. You put Westbrook out there again with Anthony Davis and LeBron that you've seen not work how many times now in the past year and a half, and you push every button and they just one step forward, two steps back. So you put Christie out there. You don't know if Christie's going to be able to perform when the spotlight is that bright. He's still a young kid. But when are you going to find out? When your backup is up against the wall, or when you're playing with house money a little bit because we're still the 3 seed anyway. It's that level of desperation and the frustration of LeBron James that I think is clouding the judgment and having a lot of we need to win right now at all costs, which is already costing them in the future. The way that Laker fans in the front office see trading those picks as that's an all-in move, they're making all-in moves right now in game. As far as I'm concerned, because Max Christie DNP, with the way that he's been playing, was the most unacceptable part of that game for just me if I was a Lakers fan thinking about getting this team some much needed help. I'd like to take this conversation and eventually segue it into someone that's playing basketball quite well. But before we do, we have the luxury of voicing our opinions authentically because we're not checked by a network. We're not getting this check signed by the NBA. We can just kind of say what we're feeling. And I want to ask you straight up, man, with the fouls and the refs and the whole conversation, we just went almost 40 minutes talking about how referees are affecting a game. That is not the product the NBA wants to sell to people. So between referees, between LeBron and AD sitting out in Brooklyn tonight, I've got DMs that I could show you off camera of fans that paid $600 to see LeBron tonight because it's the one time they play Brooklyn, and they go, I will never give the NBA $1 again. You've got that situation occurring with load management. The diluting of the regular season product because there are so many games that mainstream sports fans don't think the NBA regular season matters that much, and they certainly have a case. So my question to you is, what's your opinion of the NBA product right now as opposed to when you played?
I think now it's a little bit more watered down. You have a few players. I would probably say for real, like about maybe 25, no more than 30 players that are actually skilled. You know what I'm saying? They're skilled throughout their whole resume. Opposing to a guy just like, okay, I got a 59-inch vertical. I jump out the gym. I can touch the top of the backboard. That's all I could do, though, is dunk. That's, it's one facet of the game. And the way that they're paying these guys is the owners are getting frustrated, right? Because they like, shit, we paying this guy hundreds of millions of dollars and they sitting out.
Hold on, Sheed, are they frustrated? Because they're getting paid more money than ever, especially with the new collective bargaining. All they care about is cashing those checks. They're making billions. All right.
Yeah, true. I'm gonna get to that too, but I'm gonna go, both sides of the pillow here. Okay. So, all right. Again, as you just mentioned, and we talked about previously, here you have your fan base, and your buddy paid, umpteen amount of dollars to go see Bron, and he's not playing, and so it's a trickle effect, though. So now it's like from the NBA side and from the fan side, it's like, look, I'm paying all this money to go see these guys and they not playing. Like, damn. So now what's that going to do? That's going to affect merchandising because now I'm mad at this player and it's not even his fault. You know what I'm saying? It could be, he could really be hurt. It could be his time to sit out because other load management shit. But if that's the case, then how are they going to fix that? That's going to come up in that next CBA. And then from the NBA side of it, it's like, all right, they charging all this money. So it's like, look, as when I play as a player, it's like I deserve to go out there and play for this family or, for these guys because they paid that money for that ticket. No matter if it was courtside and his big company sponsorships all the way up to the guy that's touching the ceiling. They paid that money to come see it. So, yeah, I'm going to go out here and perform. And like I told you, with our load management, it was a little bit better because the coaches and the players knew, like, all right, I ain't going to play you a lot tonight, but you got to start, go out there and play the first 5 minutes, and then you play 5 minutes in the third quarter, and then, you good money. We're going to rest that foot or your back, whatever the case may be. But to sit out the whole game, yeah, that's going to affects both sides. It's like, you sitting there is teetering back and forth. It's both sides are right, but both sides are wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's a 50-50 thing, man. It's a tough situation with that one, bro. And the way that it doesn't help with the referees, the way that they're calling the shit or not calling it, I should say. Because now not only are the players looking for answers, the fans looking for answers, they're frustrated. Oh, I just paid this and it was a bullshit call, and they got their opinions and everything too. That's the part that the NBA don't like. They only like to see the happy fans, who don't really know about the game, who just want to see Steph shoot threes, who just want to see Giannis just dunk all day. They don't know about what it takes to screen, pick and roll, pick and pop, this and that, defend your guy, rebound, block out, as you said, lost art, block out, all of that. So it's tough, man. It's tough. That's a hard one right there. I'm with you. I'm stumped on that one. I can't say either side is right or wrong.
It's going to come down to just what your experience of what you're looking for from the NBA. If you're someone who likes to attend live events and you have a specific player that you want to see, and you live in a city or you live in a country and you fly into the United States because you have to plan ahead to get on a plane and things like that, and then they sit out for load management reasons, I'd be devastated. And we've seen examples of it. And the NBA loves nothing more than grabbing that kid that was devastated about Jimmy Butler, and then he ends up getting a picture with him, a ball, a signed jersey. By the way, they even put them courtside. That didn't make the press, but they were sitting courtside with their feet on the wood for the next game too. And they blow it up into this huge PR campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. They blow it up into this huge PR campaign. And I don't want to just be trashing them because that was a nice gesture. But as always, I'm on the front lines of this. And I know the hundreds of people in attendance that weren't on camera and weren't as fortunate as that little kid, or adults that are spending real money to do their one NBA experience every year. And they're like, why would I ever do this again? And I'm going to watch regardless. I'm a super fan. The people that the NBA tweet for, or they create those clips of John Morant taking a picture with giving out his shoes and the kid is crying. It makes you tear up. Mm-hmm. What great press that is. That's an awesome moment. But they're also not going to show highlights of the foul. They're not going to show the referee's mistakes. They're not going to show what's going on with load management because that's not good business. And like everything else,
I'm not going to show you the bad shit with my product.
There's balance, right? And I hope that the higher powers that be at the NBA, while they're putting on this front of everything is great and everyone's happy, that they understand that fan behavior is changing very quickly. And if it changes to the point that they stop spending money on tickets, to Sheet's point, that means they stop spending on merchandise, concessions, parking, tickets, and the trickle-down effect will ultimately lead to viewership, which is where the biggest BRI, basketball-related income, as a part of the CBA, players and the governors, they split that. The biggest piece of the pie is from the networks that are going to pay a gazillion dollars for the NBA product to show it on their network. That number goes down, but that won't happen for years, and it has to start somewhere. So before this leaky faucet, as Rasheed just said there, leaky faucet becomes a flood, these are the warning signs that you need to make a call to the mechanic. But it's not all doom and gloom because there are some pretty fun things going on in the NBA right now. And there are players playing through injury. For example, the guy who's probably, as of this moment, just planted his flag on the MVP in Joel Embiid. You want to talk about a big game, rivalry weekend, something the NBA was showing and displaying and tweeting about? This one delivered. Jokic versus Embiid. Jokic going for a three-peat of the MVP. Last year, a lot of people used this exact game that Embiid had an opportunity to take the MVP from Jokic, but Denver won in Philly on ABC in a very similar game. This time around, Embiid plays through an injury. He goes 47 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, including a step back that makes Jokic look like Bambi on ice out there to close out that game sheet. I know you saw it. I know you got feelings regarding it. As of this moment, Embiid is probably my MVP because that value of that holy shit moment is going to be really difficult to overcome. What did you see from the man? I know he keeps claiming MVP doesn't matter to me because I don't care anymore, but I don't know if that's the truth. What did you see from Embiid that has gotten him to this divine level of big man?
I told you before, I want to win. I want to win. He's done pretty much a lot of the other things. You know, he's the defensive category, you know, blocks and points and averaging this and averaging that. So now it's all about I want to win. And in order for me to win, I got to go out here and perform. So, yeah, on a bum wheel, he did go out there and prove that he's one of the tops in this game as far as big men concerned. And I got, you tip your hat to him. It was a great game. That's what he should be doing night in, night out, in my opinion. But now it was a good move. But me, again, I'm not one for all the putting it on the floor and you 7'2", 7'3", and you trying to cross a guy over like 5'5" or something. No, your ass right down there on them blocks and go to work. And that's what it pretty much seems to be like. If you look at it, the way that he plays is when the Sixers need a bucket, or he really feels like dominating, he get down there on them blocks and go to work. Then, it's nice when he want to be a point guard or he want to be Kevin Durant and come with the 2-dribble pull-up, 2-dribble crossover behind the back, step back, pull-up threes and all that. But he's hitting it for the moment. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's hitting his three-pointers and outside game, putting it on the floor and all that. I'm just not a big fan of it. But, yeah, he's killing. He's definitely solidified his name in that MVP race with that game over Denver.
Isn't that what makes him different, though? Because he gets to the line regardless. He's shooting double-digit free throws every single night. Nikola Jokic, who is his primary defender, isn't the most fleet of foot, to be polite. Right. And if you want to bang with Jokic down low, this dude is gargantuan. That's almost playing into his advantage, despite Joel Embiid being what many consider to be the new age Shaquille O'Neal. So Embiid's ability to bring Jokic out into the deep end in isolation and give him that little crossover step back because Embiid has that ability. You're saying you still don't like it and you would prefer him to go down there and battle Jokic and try and get him out of the game? Because he did that in the very first play. He did that on the very first play. He got Jokic a foul, and it was by design. I want to get this guy out of here, like he does every single night. So he heard you there. But now that Jokic is there in the half-court set at the end of the fourth quarter, and you have all that space, I could take this guy off the dribble and take him out of his comfort zone. He executed there brilliantly, hitting shot after shot outside the paint area. So are you still like you're too big? Don't even think about doing that. Just go get down there.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing with it. Where does Jokic play at? Jokic plays the majority of the game out there on that wing, out there on that perimeter. He goes down low, for a rebound, or if he sees that he has a mismatch, I'm going to go down in the post. But Embiid, so for me, if he's comfortable out on that wing, and if I was Embiid, I'm going to take his ass down there on them blocks. Now, guess what you got to do with me, dog? We both some big motherfuckers. Ain't gonna be none of that. Me out there and trying to cross you, and they might give you the foul if you reach. You know what I'm saying? But now down here on this chop block, it's gonna be too much banging in contact. Yo, get him a quick 2, get him up out of there. Okay, then now do all the other bullshit you want to out there on the wing and blah 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 blah, whatever the case may be. But no, right down there on them chop blocks. For me, that's the place I'm going to go. Like, that's always been the main key. When you're playing against guys like myself, Garnett, Tim Duncan, C-Webb, a lot of good centers and power forward. Against SHAQ, a lot of teams, our first couple plays, we going to go at this motherfucker to try to get him some fouls. and then that pretty much is going to determine the outlook of the game, because either that defender is going to be getting that shit up out of there, or it's going to be them whistle calls and that. Hey, go get him. Come here, sit right here, because you in foul trouble. And then what does that do? That throws that particular star's game off, because now when you come back in, it's going to be middle of second quarter. You stiff. You already got an attitude like, fuck, they already fucking me with the shit. So now you're not focusing on your shots and this and that. Then you get another whistle. So it's wild.
The reason why I'm passionately questioning you about this is because it's a compliment to you that you were one of the first of the era when you played to be a big man that had that ability to bring a Shaquille O'Neal, where he was so dominant out of the paint, to get him uncomfortable with your long range shot. And the Blazers are in this series against the Lakers because of your ability to do that. So when I hear you suggest Embiid go down there and just keep powering through, that's why it's a shock to me, because you had such success
but you gotta
with
look at it. Both of them are about the same. They weigh about the same. Shit, Shaq outweighed me by at least 90, 95 pounds. So for me, yeah, I don't mind. I'll bang with you a little bit. I'll bang with the big fella a little bit. But damn, the first time I actually banged with him on down low on offense and defense, I'm sitting in my locker room, right? Sitting in my locker. I got ice on my knee, ice on both my ankles, and I'm just sitting there like this. And Cliff Robinson walks by, and he's just looking. He like, yo. He said, hey, Roscoe. He said, you can't be doing that shit, yo. He said, you got to take him out on that wing a little bit. You know, you could score out there. You're faster out there, more agile than him on that wing. So take him out there to your world. He said, because you know where he's going to be at on defense. You know he's going to be right there from block to block. And he's going to be doing what? Leaning and, just being a big fella, just being Shaq. So I had to listen to that, because for me, I'm not going to be sitting like this every time we play the Lakers and I'm all iced up. You know what I'm saying? No. All right, start listening to him. All right, let's go out here on the wing, go by him. Maybe I might get a foul call if he try to reach or something like that. But when it comes to Jokic and B, they about the same as far as the weight. What? It might be a differential, maybe 10 pounds. Let's say
I would
10
even
pounds.
say Embiid plays bigger. He plays bigger, even if he's not physically bigger somehow. To your point, he's the Shaq in the example that you just gave. And that's why I enjoy having these conversations with you, because I haven't sat in the locker room having to play against Shaquille O'Neal for 2 hours. I don't know what that feels like on your body. So when you're telling me, yes, those bangs in the first 3 quarters of the game, they will add up like it's a boxing fight against Jokic, so that he can't be out on the perimeter bearing you at the end of the fourth quarter. And there may be someone that's like a fan that's, well, Embiid can roast him on the perimeter because he's faster and he's got better skill, and Jokic isn't as fleet of foot, but that's not putting in the work down low and delivering those jabs to the chin. And I bet Jokic was probably back in that locker room just like you after this kind of night. That, God, Embiid's a big guy. He's probably sitting there like, that dude is huge. And they have a mutual respect for each other because they compete. So it's that type of why I always try and not take the other side against you, but I try and dig a little bit, because I just would have never thought about Jokic's either conditioning or a health bar like in a Mortal Kombat video game. It was probably all the way in the red by the time you get to the fourth quarter, playing against Embiid, throwing those elbows and just trying to draw fouls, even if he's not successful. That shit adds up over time. So for him, Embiid, to put up those numbers in the way that he did, and maybe with that step back jumper being the highlight of it, it was the banging down low, in Rasheed Wallace's opinion, from what we just heard here. Point the wrong way. What he just said, that's why he was able to set it up in that situation. And it's a game of 4 quarters. It is a chess game. It's not just that one play does not define the difference of the two. Is that a fair hypothesis?
Yep. Fact. It's chess, not checkers.
All right. So there you go. Joel Embiid wins a boxing fight in that context and aspect against Nikola Jokic. And it sounds like, in both of our opinions, it takes a very slim lead in the MVP voting. I know Jokic fans are going to be like, what are you talking about? One game is not the whole season. And well, guess what?
Do they play again? That was the second time they played, right?
No, I thought it was too, but they do play again in March. I will bet you right now there is not a chance in hell. They play at the end of March. Embiid's not going to play. Why would you play? If you're Mayweather and you just won the big, why would you give him a rematch? No, so he can come take it. No, you had your chance, man.
If Jokic goes into that game on fire, he's going to, and Embiid doesn't play, then that's going to be his
that'll matter. But since it's so late in the season, the playoffs, Denver may have first place locked up. And the 76ers, it may not be that it's not a national television game either. This was advertised. This was superhero versus superhero. The whole world watching. All the MVP voters who don't watch the Nuggets on a Monday were watching tonight, and Embiid got him. So he's got that equity for MVP, which it feels like the only way that it can go from this point forward is if he loses it. Whether the 76ers fall out of contention, he gets injured and doesn't play. It's his to lose now. He's, for the first time in a long time, he's got control of the narrative. And that's the biggest takeaway. So, all right, I'm sweating. I know it's a good show when I'm starting to sweat through my it's just, this shit interests me. And when I have this hour to crowdsource an opinion, which I just don't get unless I talk to someone like Rasheed Wallace about it, it gets me interested in the game and looking at it a different way. But we like to top off these shows, whatever you want to call it, by paying tribute to the greatest numbers. And Joel, I think we did 21 in the past, and we had a little bit of an argument against it. But a number that is quite close to 21. I asked Rasheed to come into today's episode with his. Did we go number 22 or did we go number? We went number 4. My apologies.
Number 4.
Number 22 is going to be in the future. But for today's episode, I have Rasheed give me his best players to wear the number in NBA history squad. We like to argue about this because it's new age versus it's a respect the game type of discussion here. So without further ado, can you give me the first team, all Rasheed, wearing number 4 in NBA history squad?
Oh, yeah. So, all right. So starting off, first and foremost, I got to go with my man. He's a Hoff, Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars, hellacious defender. He was on that Detroit tear that, kept Chicago at bay for many years when the young Michael Jordan was making his upstart. And he could also play on the offensive side of the ball too, y'all. He was a good 3-point shooter, and he had his jump shot was killer, especially off that 2 dribble. Second guy, I actually mentioned him not too long ago, just I think in general conversation when we was talking. But my second one for number 4 is Byron Scott. Byron Scott hung his hat on defense, and when it came to running that floor, boom, Byron Scott ran that floor. That's how he got his buckets. Pat Riley was one to not necessarily the only one he really called plays for real, in my opinion, was Kareem and Magic. Everybody else like Michael Cooper and Byron Scott, they got their points, in transition. So that'll be Byron Scott's my 2. My 3, a lot of people are going to disagree with me with this, but I think he was a great player. He was definitely a scorer. And he was an athletic guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I'm going to go with my man, Ron Harper Sr. Harper Sr. And I know he doesn't like it, and a lot of people referred him to the quote-unquote poor man's Jordan, but no, Ron could put that ball in that bucket. You know what I'm saying? He was a hellacious scorer in Cleveland and when he played with the Clippers. I'm going to say my 4th one for last. I'm going to go with my number 5. My number 5, of course, is my guy, C. Webb. You know what I'm saying? He was the one, to me, that pretty much stapled the number 4 going back to his days at Michigan and, all the kids in the hood, that's all they wanted to wear. That's when the single numbers was popular for the big men or whatever. So,
C. Webb, and your rookie year mentor.
Yep. My rookie season, him and I were teammates, and we were teammates for, I think, 1 or 2 seasons in Detroit towards the end of his career. But my number 4 is definitely a monster. A lot of people might not agree with me, but down there on them blocks, whenever you needed a bucket, whenever you needed a hellacious rebound, a stop, whatever, this guy came up in it. And I'm gonna go with my old head, Adrian Dantley.
Dantley.
The,
I knew
the
you were going
real
to take
AD.
Dantley over Bosh.
Yeah, the real AD. And even though, I like Chris Bosh, that's my guy. But again, that's a household name. Plus, Adrian Dantley, I think he's one of the godfathers to me of that undersized big man. Cause looking at him, he's what, like 6'7", 6'8". You like, all right, he ain't really gonna do too much, but damn, AD putting up bucket, the real AD putting up buckets. You know what I'm saying? So that's my my 5 for number 4.
Right. So for those of you watching this, on Adrian Dantley real quick, even before he made the NBA, this man was single-handedly responsible for ending one of the most famous winning streaks in the game of basketball's history when UCLA won 88 games in a row. Dantley took it from them. It did not go to 89 because of Adrian Dantley. That was before the NBA. Then he gets 6 All-Star nominations. He wins a pair of scoring titles. What else did he do? He's got his jersey number retired. Rookie of the Year. You name it. This guy did it in the 70s and 80s and was one of those original bruisers that Rasheed is referring to here. I just wanted to add some. If people haven't heard that name before, it was well known for quite some time.
Yep, look him up. Man, he was a monster.
Because the people that watch this sheet, they're younger, and they're going to be like, where's Chris Bosh? I'm like, well, go get the context of Adrian Dantley and come back and see if you still feel the same way. So
and I'm not taking away from CB4's rings that he got down there in Miami either. I'm still respecting that because shit, once you win the hardware, you can't take that away. But I mean, it was Adrian Dantley was just a different type of player, yo. Him and Bernard King was just different down there on them blocks, undersized, and you couldn't stop him. Same thing with Mark Aguirre. You couldn't stop him.
And we agree in this regard that the players that I like, my GOAT is Kareem. It's not Jordan. It's not because I put value in players that are so dominant. They change the rules of basketball. They had to stop allowing dunking. They had to move lines around because of Kareem. While Dantley, it wasn't to that extent with Adrian Dantley. There are certain players that the game was changed as a result of them. You could say the same about Steph Curry. You could probably even say the same about LeBron to an extent at some point in his career. But that's just in a Spark Notes version of why, like, whenever I go into an argument about peaks versus longevity versus performance versus records and rings and all this, I always come back to Kareem was playing in college for 4 years. There was no 3-point line. Then they took away his most dominant move. So he invented the most dominant move of all time in the skyhook. As a result, they tried to change the rules to level the playing field, and he still found a way through it. So it's era versus era. Again, this is great bar talk, but it's those type of guys in that era before anyone had done it before him that someone had to trailblaze, pun intended. And Dantley certainly was one of those guys.
Hell yeah.
Well, that was a good episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation there for this episode of That's What Sheet Said. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Super Bowl will not have taken place, so hopefully we still get the same spirit of Rasheed Wallace as always. Thank you guys for tuning in to join us. He's going to be here doing exactly this move all the way until next episode. So imagine him shadow boxing like a prize fighter, getting ready to go out there and get ready to speak the truth to y'all. That's What Sheet Said.
Yes, sir.
See you guys next time.